Hello there everybody, and welcome to a brand new series. I'm going to sort of try out sort of thing. I don't have a name for it yet. I may retroactively give it a name if I think of one. It's just going to be me sitting down at the microphone at my computer and just talking about video games that are upcoming, video games I'm playing recently, old games, new games, maybe even some basic video game design methods or something. There's not going to be any like fancy visuals or anything to go along with this. There's no recordings. Think of this more like a podcast than a YouTube video, because I don't have a huge amount of spare time to be able to sit down and edit lots of videos at the same time. The Let's Plays mostly take that up. So this is just going to be a nice quick thing for me to do when I've got a little bit of spare time. There will be no set schedule for these episodes. It is just going to be me talking whenever I can find the free time to sit down in front of my computer and do some recording, and assuming that I have something I want to say. So Sonic Mania, this game has been quite a long time coming since it was originally hyped up during Sonic's, 25th anniversary birthday. That itself didn't quite go so well, and unfortunately it seems that the release of Sonic Mania on PC hasn't quite gone so well either. I will be talking about the issues Sonic Mania has been having in a separate video. Hopefully, anyway. It should be out today. If not, it should be out by tomorrow, certainly. I wanted to keep that separate, though, because for this one, I just wanted to talk about Sonic Mania. Because despite its problems, it's still good. So, my first thought when I actually got into the game, I mean, you know, it was kind of a little bit hyped. I try not to get swept up in the hype, but sometimes you can't help it. You're gonna get hyped about a video game. And, you know, listening to the retro Sega thing and then going into the menu, it was all really good, very fun. But when I first got into the proper game, like actually playing the first level, my first real thought was just, holy balls, this game looks good. In fact, I didn't just think it, I actually said it out loud. That is how beautiful this game looks. I mean, they advertise it as being stunning HD visuals represented in 60 FPS. Yeah, they're not joking about that. It looks fantastic. It runs very smoothly. It's got some amazingly detailed animations, like the sprite artwork, not just for the characters, but also for the level, and the backgrounds are just amazing. I mean, I've played games, like more modern games, with really good sprite work, and this is one of the best I've seen. There is another game I've seen that looks sort of on the same level as this, maybe even slightly better, called Owlboy. I haven't played it yet. I own it. It's one of those games I haven't got around to yet. I'll probably do another podcast about that when I get around to it, maybe. But yeah, this game just looks fantastic. I mean, I was genuinely blown away at how good it looks, especially when they do some of the retro stuff, but with a modern take. Now, I'm not going to give you too many spoilers. There will be some, but I won't spoil a lot of things. But let's just say that there are certain special stages in the game that you may recognize from previous Sonic games, which is obviously quite deliberate. And having recently replayed Sonic 3 and Knuckles for a Let's Play, the first episode of that will be out on Friday. And now going to look at the sort of new HD version of that, yeah, you notice the difference. By God, I'm noticing the difference. It runs smoother and it looks fantastic. Because the Mega Drive wasn't technically capable of 3D stuff. You could kind of force it, but 3D wasn't really what it was capable of doing back then. Of course, now that's not an issue. You can do 2D, 3D, slap bang right next to each other. Just look at games like, say, Fez, for instance. That was a game that was technically 3D, but it always looked 2D until you switch things up a bit. So that's not a problem for this. And it shows, because everything is this lovingly crafted. It's just such a wonder to behold. I don't really go on about graphics all that much, but I really just do want to focus on it This game's graphics are fantastic. They did a truly amazing job on them. And as I said, it kind of blew me away when I first started playing it. Of course, then you settle down and get into the actual gameplay, which also feels just as good. As I said, I was playing Sonic 3 and Knuckles just the day before from my Let's Play, and yeah, it plays exactly the same. It feels just as, the jump feels right. The speed at which you go up and down on, going up on slopes and then down again after the fact, it feels exactly like it should feel. Because it was one of those things, like the jump always varied slightly between Sonic 1, 2, and 3. And again, most people agree Sonic 3 or Sonic 3 and Knuckles, to give it its full title, is probably the pinnacle of 2D Sonic's era. We all know that. So these people who made it, who are, of course, former Sonic modders, for the record, they actually were a part of the big Sonic modding community, who then got hired by Sega and made this game, would you believe? So they know how Sonic should feel, and it clearly shows. The levels themselves have a really good feel of flow to them, which was something that was often complained about in some of the other 2D Sonic games, like the Sonic Advance games or the Sonic 4 attempts. That they complained that there wasn't a good sense of flow to the levels. And whilst that wasn't always true of old retro Sonic, not all the levels had flow, especially if you play the original Sonic the Hedgehog on the Mega Drive. It is fair to say that the later games certainly tried to have that sense of flow in most levels. And from what I've played of this, which is the first 4 zones, so the first 8 acts I've played so far, they definitely have a sense of flow. Maybe the last one not so much, but then having levels that maybe slow you down just a little bit to get you to appreciate, the design of the levels, I'm never complaining that. And there are still points, even within the slightly slower paced levels, where you can still get up some quite good speed. Now, the weird thing about the level design in and of itself is this odd combination of things you've seen that are copied almost wholesale from their original games, combined with completely new level layouts. And it's not as if Act 1 is a carbon copy of the first level from the first Sonic game, and then Act 2 is completely different. No, it's a mix mash of both. I'm actually kind of looking forward to seeing the maps for these, because if you look online, you can find maps for pretty much all the Sonic games if you look hard enough. And I'm really interested in the design choices that they've made in some of these, in Sonic Mania. I'm really, really interested in that, because it's always nice to see just how much detail is put into the multiple paths, because there are always multiple paths that you can take in the Sonic game. Because the first level, minor spoiler here, but the first level actually starts just like Sonic 1, in Green Hill Zone. You move along the slightly curvy thing, you grab 3 rings, and then there's that 10 ring on the upper platform, you got the creature underneath. It's exactly the same, much like it was, I believe, in Sonic Generations. So that's the same, but then you move further into the level and things start to change. And the weird thing is, I remember playing it, but I didn't get the sense of, oh my god, this is new, until, I don't know, a good 10 seconds into the newness. I mean, I was blitzing through the level at quite a good speed, which, again, a good thing that you can blitz through the levels at quite a good speed. It's a Sonic game. So it's weird that you don't necessarily notice the new stuff. I mean, you do notice it, but it's not like, oh my god, this is new, what the hell is this? It's like, oh yeah, this wasn't in the original, was it? And then you'll move into another area and you'll just catch a little glimpse of something. Oh yeah, now you see that I've seen before. I recognize that. And then you'll move on and things will change, things will evolve. Now, every level ends with a boss fight in exactly the same way that Sonic 3 and Knuckles. I'm pretty sure this game is emulating Sonic 3 and Knuckles. I'm fairly certain there are going to be 12 zones with 24 acts. There might be a special one after that if you get all the emeralds, probably. I don't know how that's going to work out. I haven't got far enough in the game to see that yet. So I'm willing to bet it's probably got the same length as Sonic 3 and Knuckles. And each level, like Sonic 3 Knuckles, ends with a boss fight. Perfectly fine, nothing wrong with that. The first one was a nice change, but it was kind of weird in that it copied sort of the boss from the first Sonic game, the first major boss from the first Sonic game, but with a twist, and I liked that. Then the second boss came along, and I was like, what the fuck? No, you are not supposed to be here. The second boss surprised the fuck out of me. Then the third boss was another pretty good boss. Now, I'm not going to spoil what the fourth boss of this game is. It was one of the most what the fuck memorable moments I have had probably in a game ever. It came out of nowhere in a really good way. I was just like, what is this? Why is this here? This isn't right. And yet it's awesome. And that was the brilliant thing about it. That despite the fact I thought I knew what this game was going to be going in, it has managed to surprise me. It's not just, oh, let's make Sonic 3 and Knuckles plus. Let's not just take what we know and then make some new levels. It is partially that, but there's new stuff as well. There's nice little surprises. There's hints at some sort of story going on here as well. I'm not 100% what's going on with the story, and that's actually kind of good. I don't know if there's supposed to be I'm supposed to have read an instruction manual or something like that. It's possible, but I don't know. I'll look into that, and maybe I'll do a follow-up video when I've actually finished Sonic Mania. So all in all, this game pretty much contains everything that you would expect a new, properly made Sonic game to have. The game was made by people who understood Sonic, people who had grown up with Sonic. And for better or worse, I think they've actually done a better job at Sonic than Sega has. It really is getting to the point where the fans of the games are better at making the games than the original game makers themselves. I mean, not just with Sonic Mania, but you just have to look at like AM2R and other fan projects like that. Take that for what you will, good, bad, somewhere in between, who knows. Now, not to say that there's nothing new in this game. There are some new things. Again, I'm not going to go into spoilers, but there are some things in this game that I've run into and I'm just like, I don't know what that is. I don't know what that does yet. And the fact that it can surprise me like that is proof that this isn't just nostalgia purely for the sake of nostalgia. It does play on your nostalgia, but it also brings enough newness to really justify its existence. Now, as I said, I've only played the first 4 zones, so whether things start to deteriorate as you get further on, and whether the last boss is Sonic 1 easy, or Sonic 2 completely unfair, or somewhere in the middle, we'll see what happens. I honestly don't know. We're just going to have to take that one as it comes and see what happens. So this has just been me prattling on for the last quarter of an hour talking about Sonic Mania, and that is exactly what these little podcasty episodes are going to be. Talking for just a quick chunk of time about what I'm playing. So, first impression of Sonic Mania, it's fantastic. It's exactly what I was looking for in a Sonic game. Now, I mentioned briefly that there are certain issues with Sonic Mania, and I will be dealing with those in my next video, which will either be uploaded sometime after this one today, or it might come out tomorrow. We'll see how my schedule works out for that. Anyway, thank you all for listening, guys. Hope you've been enjoying my inane ramblings about Sonic Mania, but it was a game that I felt I wanted to talk about. So, thanks for listening, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.